मेरा नाम तरीम है. Both my parents are from Pakistan, and so they both speak Urdu. I, for the most part, speak English just because growing up in Canada, you become accustomed to that, but sometimes, pretty rarely, I do speak Urdu as well. I've been speaking Urdu for as long as I can remember. I feel like probably my earliest memories are when I was 4 years old, but my parents have always been speaking Urdu around me and my younger sister, so yeah. I don't speak Urdu very often now. When I was younger, for I think 3 or 4 days, my dad paid my sister and I $1 if we spoke Urdu the entire day. And so everywhere we would go, we would just communicate in Urdu. If we didn't know a word, we were allowed to ask in English. But other than that, it was straight Urdu. I can speak Urdu, and then I can read and write it if it's written in alphanumeric characters, but then if it's in actual Urdu, like the calligraphy, I can't read or write it. There are some words that I won't understand because my dad does mix Urdu and Punjabi together because he grew up around Punjab. And in those cases, I'll either ask him what the word means, or if the sentence makes sense as a whole, I can understand what that one word means in the whole context. So that's just a small barrier. My grandma only speaks Urdu. She has a little bit of English that she knows of, but for the most part it's just Urdu. So if I'm talking on the phone with extended family from Pakistan, same thing, I'll just speak Urdu. When I was younger, in middle school and a little bit of high school, I would speak Urdu with my friends who were South Asian. It kind of became a way to talk bad about people in front of them without them knowing, which is really bad, but that's just what it was. And then there are some jokes in Urdu that only make sense if they're said in Urdu, and so that would be a funny thing that we would play around with as well. But being older now, I don't know, I don't really speak Urdu with my friends anymore. When I was in grade 3 or 4, I went to Pakistan for the very first time. And obviously all my cousins growing up in Pakistan speak Urdu very fluently. They have the proper accent and everything. And me, being a young Canadian kid that would rarely speak Urdu, I didn't have the accent and I didn't really know a lot of words. So I would have to ask them, what does this mean? What does this mean? How do you say this? And they would make a lot of fun of me, and because my accent was very English, I guess you could say. And so it was very difficult, but being there for longer helped me adapt more. I want to say no, but the more that I think about it, I feel like being judged for the way I spoke Urdu kind of created this hesitation and this barrier in front of me, where I just don't really want to speak it anymore because I know I'm not going to sound good and I won't know how to say stuff, and being in that weird space where you don't know a word is really scary. And yeah, it just created this discomfort around Urdu for me. I was discussing languages with my coworker a couple of days ago, and he was asking me what language I spoke, and I was explaining some words to him. And he asked me if some of the things actually derived from French, because Farsi is another language like Arabic that's used in the Quran. They're very similar to Urdu, and some of Farsi and Arabic are very similar to French as well. So he was just asking if anything was similar there, and I would like to ask my parents more about Urdu and the origins of it, because I guess growing up around it, you don't really think about researching it, but it would be an interesting thing to learn more about. I would tell my younger self not to be embarrassed about my language for a very, very long time, and even sometimes now. My name is said the English way because I'm embarrassed to say it the normal way. And I think that growing up around Western movies where the South Asian kid or the South Asian adult is made to be like the punchline because of their heavy accent. It was really, really discouraging for me to actually like speak my language and embrace it. So I tell myself not to care so much, and that it's a beautiful part that I should like interweave with who I am.